Hey everyone, welcome back to Morning Mug. Today I want to talk about how to become the person you want to be around. And I get a lot of inspiration from channels like Dry Creek Wrangler School and Modern Wisdom. And, you know, this isn't just a channel just for me only to talk about guy stuff. I think this applies to anybody watching, to be honest. But obviously, it's easier to um, speak more about things that are related to guys, being a guy myself. So that, of course, is natural. So what I want to say was being, what I want to say was being the person you want to be around is quite simple. I want to start with this whole problem with male loneliness. Um, it's been known to be an epidemic for a while, and honestly, it's not shocking given the fact that we were dealing with a pandemic in 2020 and how that transpired into 3 years. Or, I mean, we're still gonna have the COVID virus. That's a life journey now for the rest of eternity. um, that's a forever thing. COVID is gonna continue existing just like the flu. So, yeah, like the early season of the 2020 pandemic, that has changed communication entirely. Like, I don't even think it's just men, but because men are dominating the numbers of loneliness, it's become an epidemic. So how how do we get through this problem and become more social? Well, there's two things that I will say about this. The first thing is, I don't think the answer is just socializing more. I think learning to be by yourself is very powerful. So I will give my insight on being more social, but here's why I believe it's more important to learn to be by yourself when the situation is that way. The first reason is you're always going to be responsible for yourself. You know, if you've gone to school or you're going to college or you're working, you have to do your own work. No one's going to do it for you. You're responsible for what you have to do, you know, most of the time. There's going to be a few times where if you're at work, you're probably going to be responsible for, managing other people, but that's a different thing, because you still have the main thing that you're just responsible for and no one else is. So um, that's just how life is. When you think of it that way, a lot of times you're going to be sticking up for yourself. You're going to be defending yourself. It's not going to just be other people, even if you decide to defend somebody else. It's always going to start with you. And that also goes with this whole quote about being the change that you want to see in the world. You know, there are people who genuinely believe that they're the best example they could give to the world. And honestly, there is no best example. I'm just going to put it like that. No matter if you admire a famous celebrity like Keanu Reeves, I don't have any issue with Keanu Reeves. I think he's a great human being. He is an inspiration to many of us, but he is not a perfect human being. And if you want to believe that, that's totally fine. But I'm just saying he's not perfect in the sense that um, at the level of Christ, at the level of God who created the world. That's what I'm getting at. So, you know, he could be perfect to somebody else because he's successful, he's kind, he lets other people take his seat on the subway. That's totally great. I agree with a lot of the things that he does to be kind and not have success run his ego and make him do things that are mean and malicious. You know, I think he's one of the few people that people should strive to be, whether they're successful or not, you know. Um, but to say somebody is truly perfect can be further from the truth. Yeah, I mean, perfection in itself just means that there are no flaws. And people are always going to have flaws, even if they believe they're perfect, even if they believe they're at the top of their game. Let's just give one more example. You know, um, sports, you know, how many people in sports miss their shot? Whether it's soccer, whether it's basketball, just think about that. You can believe that there is one perfect player, MVP, the best basketball player of all time. That person will miss a shot at least once in an entire game. And if they manage to not do that, you know, that's impressive, of course, but it's probably going to happen in the next game. And that's all I'm saying. There is no perfection. So it's that sort of thing where it's like, okay, if I see it this way, you know, these people are actually more human that I give them credit for. It's just like learning to not compare. Learning to not compare helps a lot because that can ruin a lot of good friendships, relationships with anybody. Honestly, if you're constantly comparing yourself, you know, it's something I've definitely learned to stop doing as much, but it's something that you just continue practicing. It's just, it's fine. If this person is doing great in life, the only thing I should be doing is wishing them the best. Even if I want that success, I will manifest it on my own time. Like, I'm gonna be successful. My success will come at my time. I don't need to rush my success because I could probably go steps further back if I don't do something that should have been thought of with more time. That's the unpopular thing to do, but that's the best thing to do because, like I said, just because somebody gets something you want quicker than you can doesn't mean that their life is all figured out. Doesn't mean that their life is 100 times better just because of that thing, you know. And there's gonna be things that people will not tell you that makes their life unpleasant because people don't want to be reminded about things that makes their life feel uneasy. People will always show appearance about how life is good, how life is easy, but almost never will they want to tell you all the difficult parts of what made them be able to get something that's really nice. So yeah, I went on a long tangent there, but to really simplify this, being by yourself is really important because you learn the person that you want to be around when you're not with friends. And then when you're with friends, the thing that is important to remember is, why are you friends with those people you chose to be friends with? Was it because they were kind to you? Was it because they gave you good advice? Did they help you with something? Did you help them with something and show you kindness in return? Like, that's the thing about friendships. Um, it's not about this unconditional it's not about this unconditional kindness to each other. It's like there has to be something that makes it worthwhile. You know, if there's nothing in a friendship that makes it worthwhile, that's not a good friendship. If you're around people who don't care about their future, don't care about their finances, don't care where they go to sleep at night, that's a huge problem. And I don't think that's a good friend to keep around. You know, you can donate some money if they're in a really bad place, but I wouldn't recommend hanging out with that person and expecting to be a successful human being if that person has no care to be any better. That's what I'm saying. Um, and it's not a rude thing to do. Sometimes you really do need to separate yourself from certain people. You know, in extreme cases, there could be someone in your family that makes your life feel like a living hell. You have to distance yourself. You don't owe somebody infinite kindness just because they grew up with you. You know, you have to show your limits at some point. And I'm not saying to be outright disrespectful to people. You can be respectful and not like somebody. You know, you can say hi and let them know, I have this boundary that can't be crossed. And if it is, I can't help you. Just can't. And that's all there is to it. That's just a life skill that is learned, and it's not easy, but it's a very good one to learn because when you begin to respect yourself, especially, that's when people respect you. And that's when you become the person you want to be around. When you respect yourself, you respect your time, and you defend yourself on the things that you did right, not on the things you did wrong, on the things you did right. Because there's no sense in uh, defending yourself when you're the one with the red hands. When you're caught red-handed, it's like, nah, dude, you need to take accountability. And that's something that a lot of people don't do, is take accountability for what you did wrong. Learning to apologize, learning to accept that you made a mistake or something didn't go the way as planned, and learning to not do the same things again that causes the same bad problems. It's all a process. It's not going to come easily, but if you do something enough times, things do get a little easier once you know how to find a new way to solve a problem. I'll use the example of driving. If you are afraid that you're not going to be a good driver, you've never driven a car before, the only way you will feel better about driving is driving more. It's not driving less, it's driving more until you feel like you're a good driver and you know what it means to drive safe. You understand the rules of the road and traffic. It's only driving more that you're going to be able to feel like you can actually drive. So that applies to life. You don't become more social by avoiding people. You actually have to talk to people. You don't have to talk to every single person you come across, but you do have to generally speak up more when you have the chance to. And sometimes it's just manners. It's just saying hi to everyone in a room, saying bye to everyone in a room. Sometimes you can make this very easy by saying hi everyone, goodbye everyone. Because I know that there are people who go shake hands to everybody, and it's like, you can do that, but if it's not that sort of situation for you, then just do it what's easier by not just overcomplicating everything. That's the thing. It's like, you don't have to be like everyone else. Be who you are, and just be somebody who you feel is pleasant, that makes you feel good. So the next thing that I want to talk about is responsibilities. I talked about how you should be good being around yourself, how you should look for the good qualities in your friends that you should want for yourself, and that it's not impossible. I've talked about um, like having good manners around people, and how that is going to influence you to feel like you're in a good space, how you're in a safe environment, and how that's genuinely something you would want versus drama and rowdiness. So yeah, the only thing I could add next to that list is being somebody who is punctual, good with time. Um, that's somebody who is gonna be a magnet around other people, just 100%. And there are many reasons to this. If you are somebody who's good with time, you manage your time well, and you are showing up early to work, early to school, you're on time, you're gonna have a lot of good opportunities come to you, because that's what you manifest. You reap what you sow. So if you're going early to your classes, you're on time, you're being responsible, you're doing what a lot of people aren't gonna do. And if you're taking it serious as well, which is the second step, if you're on time and serious, now you're cooking with oil, because you can't just be present but not take serious of what is going on. So um, you cook with oil when you have the components. You take your stuff seriously, you're on time, and do what needs to be done. You can't just be present and not take anything serious, because that's not how being responsible functions. It's the pieces that all come together. So, yeah, if you're at school, if you're at work, not only do you want to be on time, you want to take whatever's going on seriously and do what you need to do, whether it's the assignments or the things your boss tells you to do, your manager tells you to do. You do the things you need to do so that you can get paid at work, so you can learn something new at school. You can apply that to something you want to study. That can be a career. It's something that has a domino effect. You know, it's a chain reaction, because when you are on time, you take things seriously, and you do what you need to do, that transfers in many areas of your life. It can transfer into how well you do in school, how well you do at work, how well you do in a relationship. And yes, I do understand nuance. There's going to be people who are successful at school and barely show up. There's going to be people who are at work and maybe not the best employee and still gets paid. I understand those nuances. But when you are someone who does take things seriously and does show up and does the things that you need to do the best way possible, that's going to separate you from a person who is not taking things so seriously, or is arrogant and thinks that everything's going to just be easy because maybe they're really smart, or maybe they have this natural talent. But sometimes there are certain things that talent can't replace, which just things that are acquired skills like punctuality and time management and those things. So yeah, don't worry about other people, worry about yourself, because if you're good with time, taking things seriously and doing what you need to do, if you're somebody who wants to date and you already have those three skills zeroed in, you're going to be a really good person for another person to want to date with. So that's why it's so good to learn to have a good relationship with yourself before meeting anybody, because you will attract the things that you have going on within you, you know. And sometimes you will attract the fly here and there, but that's not your fault. Sometimes there are going to be people who are not good for you, who are just going to look to take advantage. And it's just good experience to learn to deflect these people, you know. Just think of scammers all day. They're sending you these scam text messages, all this spam, and what do? You don't take it serious. You report the junk, you ignore it, you delete it. That's it. You know, and when you meet people like that who you don't have a good feeling about, listen to that. Oftentimes people will sell you lies before they sell you the truth. So you really have to be selective these days. That's why it's not just about being more social, it's realizing that you can't trust everybody. You just can't, because not everyone wants good things for you. And when you want good things for yourself, you know, you should want that for other people, and those people should want that for you. So it has to be this whole collective experience. Otherwise, you're going to run into people who feel like cardboard cutouts and not really somebody who is giving you a balanced experience of friendship. If you're carrying the friendship, if you're constantly making the plans, you're constantly paying, you're not getting paid back on time, that's not a great friendship. I'm not really sorry, but yeah, that's not a great friendship. You should distance yourself, set your boundaries, and let that person know, like, you know, that that's not something that you're gonna keep doing if you guys expect to be friends. So yeah, you know, be the person you want to be around, and you will live life with less regrets, in my opinion. um it's just something where it's like I said, if you respect yourself, people will respect you. And respect is a great thing to have these days when it's not abundant. So that's how I'll end this video today. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.